Win! Win!
Nostalgia, you fickle bitch. Going back to old games is a mixed bag. When I went back to Second Sight and The Suffering, I had a great time with each game. They've aged remarkably well. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 here still plays like a dream. The first Grand Theft Auto, however, aged like raw milk in an Afghan cave. I mean, it's bad. And it sucks because I have fond memories of GTA 1 on the PS1, and I really looked forward to replaying it after over 25 years away. The first game sticks around in our collective consciousness as a nostalgic curiosity. It's the very first in a series that reshaped this art form, and anyone from that time remembers the excitement of the do what you want gameplay, which was thrilling and new in those days. But dude, it's a ball buster. Firstly, no mission replays. If you fail or get wasted, too bad, it's gone. Start the entire chapter over if you want to see that mission again. And getting wasted is easy thanks to the single health point given to the player. And that's if you even get to the mission on time, since countdown timers are constant and punishing, and you often get lost or turned around. And if you do finish the mission, do you get to save your progress? Well, of course not, you silly goose. I hope you have time to beat the entire chapter in one sitting. With all that said, I love the top-down 2D perspective. The graphics are bad, but they're super charming, and the absurd over-the-top writing is never boring. I just wanted to be able to enjoy all of that with a few quality of life improvements, some balance, and some polish. Well, the good news is that game does exist, and it's excellent. The bad news is people seem to have kind of forgotten about it. Oh man, we can't let that happen.
And remember, respect is everything.
In a nutshell, Grand Theft Auto 2 is everything I wished GTA 1 was. It's such a remarkable step up from the first game in so many ways. I played GTA 2 last year, and I made a video about one of the missions in the game, Hot Dog Homicide. It was a lot of fun, but I couldn't appreciate how good it really was. However, playing it immediately following GTA 1, I'm amazed how much better the sequel is. So let's get into it. The biggest downside of this game is that there isn't much of a story to speak of. Yeah, there's a little bit of lore, I suppose, and it's fascinating, but it's just barely presented, and it doesn't register much. Look, GTA 1 wasn't exactly Shakespeare in the round, but the few cutscenes they had were charming and bizarre, and it would have been nice to see that expanded upon. GTA 2 has none of that. And oddly enough, DMA did film an entire short movie as a sort of promotional experiment, showing our main character, Claude, played by Scott Maslin, running around town doing all sorts of criminal stuff, as it were. It's simple and pretty cheesy, but it's a fun watch, and it would have been cool to see more live-action stuff sprinkled across the actual game. But that's okay. It's hard to remember, but story wasn't as big of a priority in games in 1999, and the live-action film gives you a look at the central concept of GTA 2, the gang warfare. So, yes, the lack of an overarching narrative is a missed opportunity, but the faction warfare thing is an excellent gameplay hook. Across each area of the game, you'll have 3 factions to work for, with their own unique logos and loyalty meter on the UI. The Zaibatsu Corporation is kind of the central group across each area of the game, sort of the big looming evil, though they're never explicitly defined as the main antagonistic force necessarily. Insofar as you don't work with the other gangs to ultimately bring them down, a la State of Emergency. Rather, they're heavily implied as the big greedy corporate superpower behind everything. Ironic, isn't it? The other gangs are colorful and fun, each with their base of operations, special vehicles, and unique dialogue. Now, not only does this give GTA 2 its own flavor, unique from the rest of the series, but it also gives you truly open-ended gameplay freedom as well. You can just wander the city, choosing who you want to work for, what path you want to take. The basic premise is that you need to earn respect from one of the groups, hence the game's tagline. The more jobs you complete for a faction, the more respect you gain. The more respect earned, more jobs open up with increasingly challenging mission parameters. And of course, as your respect decreases with a rival faction, the jobs for that group are limited, and they'll even attack you on sight if you pass through their turf. But loyalty has its perks too. If cops chase you through loyal territory, your boys will show up in force and fight back with you, which is such a kick-ass detail. And if you max out respect for each group in a single district, they sort of realize that you've been playing each side, and the boss of each faction will hunt you down. I mean, it's not quite New Vegas levels of detail, but the concept is similar, and it was 11 years prior. Again, I do wish the gangs had been more fleshed out with actual cutscenes and characters, but I still love them all the same. The Zaibatsu, the Rednecks, the Loonies, the Yakuza, the Russians, the SRS scientists. They each have their own distinct area in the district that they dwell in, as well as custom vehicles too. The SRS scientists in District Z, for example, are based out of these high-tech, kind of futuristic fortresses, and they drive the super fast, sci-fi-looking Meteor car. Whereas the Rednecks drive pickup trucks emblazoned with the Dixie flag. They live in run-down trailer parks with shabby architecture and brown, dried-up lawns. There's something straight out of Carcer City. It's great. So, needless to say, but here I go saying it, I really enjoyed the gang warfare concept in GTA 2, and when you've maxed out jobs for one group, you can simply turn on them. Yeah, it's pretty simple to switch allegiances. Just start wiping out your loyal group, watch their respect plummet, and the rival gang starts to say, hey, that guy's alright after all, and then that group starts to offer you more jobs. Again, it's not complicated, but it's a great mechanic, and it offers up a wealth of gameplay replayability, but we're just getting started. At the very outset, GTA 2 goes above and beyond the first game. It seems like it actually wants to, what's this? Help the player? Yeah, you get a little tutorial. Don't mind if I do. And it's a great intro. You learn the essentials without any padding. And you get a little treat at the end of it. Who's a good boy? It's me! And DMA continues to deliver the goods. At this home base here, you can actually save your game. Hallelujah, with a box of delicious, nutritious Triscuits on the side. What a concept. Now, it does cost 50 grand for the privilege, but hey, after playing GTA 1, this was like a warm hug from the front, fully erect. The new 3D Chatterbox heads replace the disembodied lips and teeth from GTA 1, which is not only quite a bit nicer, but it fits the game's darker, more surrealistic tone. aesthetics of Grand Theft Auto 2 are amazing. There really is nothing quite like this in any other GTA. With the 3D era, things began to naturally move in a more realistic direction, especially with the increased power of the PS2, and I love that, don't get me wrong. But GTA 2 has this kind of dark fantasy, comic book-esque dystopian look to it. It feels like you're somewhere, yet nowhere at the same time, and this was deliberate. The city is named Anywhere City, meant to evoke a familiar sense of an American metropolis, but perhaps not quite in this timeline. I adore Anywhere City, and again, I was around when GTA 3 was new. I freaked out when the series went fully three-dimensional, and Liberty City is still my favorite setting of them all, but Anywhere City is close behind. It really kinda sucks that it just never came back in any other game. It's just Liberty City and Vice City over and over and over. And a big part of the appeal are the visuals. Not only are the graphics a major step up from the first game, but they convey that aforementioned moody dystopian vibe perfectly. Sure, the nighttime atmosphere isn't as dynamic as, say, Cyberpunk 2077, but this was also 1999, and the ambiance is still a minted fresh coin roll. The hand-painted lighting is gorgeous, especially with things like the red and blue police lights cutting through the darkness. Then there are the little details that add so much. Watching a car jump to life upon ignition, the headlights and taillights glowing at dusk, with the brake lights adding that extra bit of illumination. And if you idle for a bit, Claude will start ripping a butt, and you can see the smoldering cherry and smoke trail. And it's not just Claude. Little NPC details are everywhere and help to bring the city to life. People will hail taxis, jack cars, fight with one another, and just walk around talking trash, which became a staple of the series. The sound of sirens, engines rumbling, that feeling of cool night air. It's the stuff I love about this series in general. I used to stay up many nights in 2008 just people watching in GTA 4, and that kind of detail really started to take shape here in Part 2. Explosions in the game look amazing, really impressive for such an old game. Not quote-unquote realistic or whatever, but bright, voluminous, and warm. And I never ever got tired of watching the train race through the city, like a high-speed Christmas tree piercing the night. Oh, and speaking of night, if you play the PC version, you can choose between noon or dusk, which is fantastic, as this was before the series added day and night cycles. However, interestingly, the PS1 port is daytime only, whereas the Dreamcast port, is dusk only. Now, I did play at noon for a little while, and it's great. Classic GTA 2. Well, classic for those of us who only had the PlayStation as kids, and this is a fine way to play, but I personally preferred playing at dusk. Not only does it feel a little more seedy and criminal-y, but those lighting effects I had mentioned earlier are rich and lush at dusk, with bright, slightly exaggerated tones, almost like fauvism. It's just great. Plus, if you hold left Alt, you can pan the camera around. Now, not only does this help you plan your next attack, but it also just gives you a nice little extra look at the city, you know? The sound design complements the visuals very nicely. Now, these were the days before the big expensive licensed music in GTA, but that doesn't make the soundtrack any less great, with some obscure groups like Connor and Jay and Bula Matari. GTA has long been known for its dry, cynical social commentary, especially towards modern Western excess, consumerism, as well as political and religious hysteria. And this is where DMA, now known as Rockstar North, got their toes into that pool, especially with the radio. Now, this was before the heyday of Laszlo or the Axl Rose cameo on KDST The Dust, but I love the DJs in GTA 2. They're very cleverly written, with characters like Judge and Jury, Fanny Joe Styles, and of course, Dean France on Futuro FM, which of course is sponsored by the Zaibatsu Corporation.
Dean France, live from rehab. 1, 2, 1, 2. This is me, Dean France at Futuro FM, the hot spot on your dial. We got the top 100 coming up. And a free Futuro FM t-shirt for whoever calls in at number 50, the first one to call.
Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Y'all ready?
Dean is the classic FM DJ, with his Casey Kasem voice and the cheesy music bed under his promos for the top 10s and your chance to win radio station swag if you're the 50th caller. He's Mr. Smooth, right? But then he gets on air and has a break where he discusses that his car was stolen for a 5th time while he was getting smokes, before devolving into a seething rant where he wants to strangle the life out of the criminals on the street. But then he pops back into a smooth sponsor break. And of course, there are plenty of ridiculous commercials in between the breaks, as you'd expect. Things like Jizz Drive for your computer, or Perk Up to combat the flopsies in bed. It's a little more subdued compared to some of the hilarious, over-the-top stuff in later 3D games, but it's that signature Rockstar humor that started to find its footing here in GTA 2. So the graphics are a massive improvement from GTA 1, and the sound design complements the atmosphere perfectly, but the question I had when coming from GTA 1 is, will this actually be fun to play? I really was not excited for another 35 to 40 hours of grinding my jaw. Well, I am so happy to say that this is where Grand Theft Auto 2 really shines. It's not perfect, we'll get to that, but the gameplay here is a monumental improvement over the first GTA. The basic setup remains the same. Get your missions from a payphone and get to work. Though, as I had mentioned earlier, your source for missions will vary depending on your loyalties. But what is this? Armor, health, and weapon pickups before a mission? DMA actually wants to give you a fighting chance this time. Oh, and did you hear what I just said then? That's right, health. Yes, an actual health meter represented by the hearts. You can actually take some damage now, and getting into a fight is more of a battle instead of just blap and you're done. The simple addition elevates GTA 2 far, far above the first game. I had also mentioned earlier that you can now save without having to complete an entire chapter first, but pro tip on that, if you find a van with a satellite dish on top, it always points in the direction of home base where you can save, which really comes in handy since, yet again, you have no in-game map. Like GTA 1, 2 came with fold-out maps for navigation. If you have these, great, they could be collector's items, I guess. You'll probably just want to boot an interactable map from your phone or something, but that's really only if you need them or if you want to find every secret, because another improvement over GTA 1 is the layout of each district. You still get that beeline arrow pointing you in the general direction, but Anywhere City is much easier to navigate. It's not perfect, and I got turned around a handful of times to be sure, but in general, I had very little trouble finding my way around. No maps, no guides, no worries, and part of that is thanks to the much improved driving mechanics. Driving just feels so much better now. Cars will accelerate, decelerate, and change gears much more realistically, but not at a simulation level, and it still feels like a fun arcade game. Gliding through streets and whipping corners with the handbrake feels so much nicer this time, in part thanks to DMA removing the non-stop streetlight and telephone pole obstructions from GTA 1. You can speed right through medians or pop the curb without fear of crashing into every single object, which was a constant source of frustration in the first game. Being able to just slide through the city with a mostly uninterrupted flow feels so good, and as I said earlier, I don't think I appreciated this enough when I played the game last year. But coming straight from GTA 1, you really notice things like this. And critical vehicle damage is now represented by fire, which became the standard going forward. It's gorgeous pixel art, but it also gives the player the big clue like, hey stupid, be careful, as opposed to the faceless engine rattling from the first game. Believe it or not, driving is something I would actually boot this game up to do. If you need 10 minutes of stress relief, turn on your favorite music and just tool around Anywhere City for a little while. It's pleasant, something I never thought I'd say with regards to driving in an old school GTA. Plus, if you have 25k on you, you can now rig weapons to your vehicle like James Bond. Do you know how much I love recreating Yellow Jacket from Twisted Metal in this game?
Sounds good to me, baby!
And there are other drive-through shops as well. You have Smith & Heston's for machine guns, very clever, Red Army Supplies for car bombs, Hell Oil for very Bondian oil slicks, and of course the Pay and Spray, which is now known as Max Paint. Which, hey, in 1999? Interesting how things turn out. If you know, you know. But look, eventually you need to leave the car. Thankfully, the player movement is also worlds better than it was in Part 1. Claude feels smooth and capable, even being able to jump now, which you'll need if you want to find secrets and power-ups scattered across rooftops. Exploring the world is now fun and viable. I actually really wanted to search the city, and I spent many hours doing so. And yes, you can still burp and fart on people. Yeah, taste my stink. GTA 2 marks the start of finding hidden objects across the map. The bonus tokens are simply the GTA 2 logo, but collecting all 50 in a district unlocks a bonus stage, which is a great tangible reward. You can still find 1-ups, score multipliers, police bribes, get out of jail tokens, and armor. They're colorful, animated, and a pleasure to find, but there are also a ton of new temporary power-ups as well. These include respect buffs that increase your standing with all gangs. There's Electro Fingers, which lets you shock pedestrians with your hands. Yes, really. Temporary invulnerability, fast reload, double damage, and invisibility. These are all cool, but the thing that sucks about them is that the second you pick them up, the buff starts draining. They're instant use tokens. Now, if you're on a mission and you find double damage, that's awesome, but 9 times out of 10, I kind of just found these tokens while I was running around, so they didn't really matter. It's a good concept, but it would have made a big difference if you could have just saved the buff for when you needed it. Maybe restrict it so that the player can only carry one at a time to avoid power stacking or something. Alas, it wasn't meant to be. But it is great finding an invisibility pickup right before you fight a big group of bad guys. But besides, the best pickup will always be the kill frenzies. frenzies haven't changed too much in practice, but that's just fine. They were the highlight of GTA 1 anyway. One of the main differences is, of course, that combat is now significantly more fun in GTA 2. I had mentioned Claude's enhanced mobility, but the actual shooting mechanics are so much tighter and punchier, and with the aforementioned health meter, I actually really looked forward to fighting in this game, something I never wanted to do in the first one. But unfortunately, things aren't all roses. GTA 2 is a great game and an excellent sequel to be sure, but there are flaws, and it starts with the kill frenzies. Some of them are downright painful and borderline unfair. Yes, it could be my lack of skill, that's reasonable, but some of the parameters are ruthless. Now, they aren't mandatory to progress, thank God, but this might drive completionists up the wall. Just be prepared for repetition, but it's not the difficulty that bugs me, that's fine, get good and all of that. It's the major bug that bugs me. You see, some of the frenzies are activated by getting into cars. Some of these cars are on flatbed trailers. You need to take a truck cab to the flatbed, pick up the vehicle, and then you deliver the vehicle to a crane that is specifically meant to lift cars, not crush them. First of all, this is kinda corny. Like, alright, yeah, it's neat, we have a working trailer system, woohoo, but all that running around and tedium just to get to a frenzy is a bit silly, but that's not my big hang-up. The big problem is the game crashing and save corrupting bugs related to this stuff. So, essentially, if you save after you complete a frenzy with cars taken from unloaded trailers, when you come back to the game and boot your save file, the game attempts to load in all the assets, including the cars that it thinks are still on the flatbeds. Because they aren't, the game freaks out and crashes. And unfortunately, this bug basically tanks your save file. So the fixes I found online aren't too hard. One good suggestion is to save your frenzies until the very end of a district. That way all of your missions are done, you don't need to save after the frenzies, and you can just finish the area and carry on to the next. Then there are some helpful mods that automatically unload the trailer cars and leave them on the ground for you in-game. But just be prepared to do a little bit of study to get everything in order. And I suppose while I'm on the flaw talk, let me get out one more complaint. Now, most missions in the game are awesome. You'll compact a snitch in a giant car crusher, act as a wheelman for a heist, snatch a car and outrun your opponents to the safe house, and turn unsuspecting civilians into hot dog meat. I made an entire video on that mission alone. But there are some missions that can really bring back that old GTA 1 frustration. The mission where you squad up with the SRS clones to attack a Zaibatsu water plant is awesome, conceptually. Getting a limo and rolling out with the boys to do some wet work feels big time and exciting. The problem is, the friendly NPCs get themselves whacked super quickly. They're not very bright, and they often go down in a hail of gunfire without much issue, or they just march themselves right into the water. Jesus. I played this mission about a dozen times, and they rarely ever made it past the turbines. But okay, fine, you don't technically need them to beat the mission, I guess, but you do need to destroy 4 turbines by throwing Molotov cocktails into them. Oh yeah, I had forgot to mention the new throwable bombs in GTA 2, which is a great addition in general, except here, you're given 5 bombs to destroy 4 turbines, 1 extra in case of a mistaken throw. Great, but there's no throwing arc or power meter or whatever. You're not really sure if they're going to land or not. And at least to the best of my knowledge, if you botch more than 1 throw, you're soft locked. And you can't complete the mission as the Molotov pickups didn't respawn. I guess Theoretically, you could go back into town and look for some, but come on, dude. If the Molotovs would have just respawned, it would have been fine. Missing a crucial throw was super frustrating, but that's not even the final leg of the mission. You have to go even further into the bowels of the water plant and destroy even more equipment. And if you get ganged up on, good luck. Yes, you have the health meter. Yay. Yes, you can have armor. Yay. But it doesn't really mean much when you get surrounded by 5 dudes with automatic weapons at close range, and all of your mates are long since gone. So yes, sometimes GTA 2 does give you these extensive multi-stage missions that go on a little too long for their own good, and losing in the final part of those missions can really bring a fella down. Time to restart. But wait, yes? Another improvement in GTA 2, and this is a major one: mission restarts. Gone are the days when, if you failed a mission, it was gone for good. Yeah, just to reiterate, in the first Grand Theft Auto, if you took a single bullet, if you got busted by the cops, if you fell in the water, whatever, you failed the mission you were on and you could not try it again. You had to restart the entire chapter if you wanted to go back to that particular quest again, which was maddening beyond belief. But here, DMA thought better of that and let the player try as many times as they wanted. It was still very tedious to return to the SRS base, find a big car, and round up the clones again and again, but at least the option existed. And for my complaints about the water plant, it should be noted that this is a level red mission, the high-end stages unlocked when you reach maximal loyalty with a gang. These are naturally much harder and more elaborate than green and yellow, and the beautiful thing about Grand Theft Auto 2's structure is that you're free to choose. Hey, if this particular level pisses you off, go do a different SRS mission, or screw it, start blasting the SRS and build loyalty with the rednecks and do their missions instead. And that's exactly what I did. And the redneck missions are a blast, literally. The first one, which is cleverly named, sees you setting off explosives in the trailer park. I'm sorry, is this game just the greatest or what? Look at this little detail of the he-huck that used to exist. Sure, it's a little Looney Tunes, but so what? And yeah, the insane stunt bonuses are here too. These never ever get old, even 27 years later. And like in GTA 1, when you earn enough points in a district, you get the big invitation to cash in and progress to the next chapter. You, of course, have the freedom to stay and do as you wish, but it's exciting to get that flashing pink arrow. The mission complete screen lacks those awesome GTA 1 cutscenes though. It's pretty disappointing. Wow, great. So some of the missions have that old piss-boiling charm to them, and to be fair, that exists in every GTA game, even the best ones. But some of the stuff, most of the stuff that you do in GTA 2 is truly a good time. There's a mission where you take control of a remote-controlled taxi, and it's one of my favorites. You do some test laps around a little course, and it gives off a big bang of micro machines, your nickname in school. After some trial laps, you take the RC taxi into town to pick up some of your enemies, and then you're told to destroy the RC cars in any way. And it's so fun to just let loose. You drive like a complete maniac without consequence, racking up points and causing mayhem, which is basically the allure of Grand Theft Auto in the first place. I loved playing this mission. Also, now, unlike the first game, your contact will actually tell you specifically what you need to do. Hey, punch this guy but don't kill him. Unlike the cryptic-ass vague garbage from GTA 1, another improvement. One last thing. The police in GTA 1 would only get to 4 stars, and they would do little stuff like set up blockades and stuff like that, but that was about it. Now, I can't fault DMA. It was the first game, and this isn't really so much of a flaw, but GTA 2 is where DMA rolled out the full 6-star wanted level, introducing the SWAT team and the National Guard.
South Mariana, all units be advised, SWAT team en route.
It was really kind of exciting the first time I heard that the SWAT team was en route during my spree. Like, oh shit, here come the big boys, and they are no joke. SWAT will crush you quickly, and I appreciate that too. GTA 2 police are not having a laugh, they want your blood. I will say, it can be really difficult to rack up your wanted level on purpose if you're curious. I had to cheat here and give myself an unlimited electro gun, which by the way is the greatest gun in the series, but man, when the National Guard shows up, it's a death sentence. I got to see them for all of a few seconds before they dusted me quick like. It was brutal. Oh man, this is such a fun game. And when I say fun, I'm of course referring to the PC version because, oh god!
I wanna ride.
Good shot, kid. I think you got him. Good shot, kid. I think you got him.
I couldn't resist. Again. Yep. Just like GTA 1, Tarantula Studios made a Game Boy Color port of Grand Theft Auto 2. And I needed to feel this pain, and you need to hear my lamentation. So anyway, no Claude Speed here. You can choose from Caligari, Gretchen, Ruben, not the sandwich, Paolo, Candy, and Eddie with his size 10 DSLs.
Your mother got a mouth in the back of her neck and the bitch chew like this.
The first district is downtown, and it looks like they added the gang warfare thing. You know, I tell you, Tarantula was a maximum effort kind of studio. Aw, freak out. Well, the music is definitely better than GTA 1's Game Boy Color port. It's still 8-bit garbage, and it's basically just a bunch of rip-off music. I swear I heard AC/DC in here, but at least it's not making my ears bleed like the first game's port. You now enter cars with Select plus A, and it was, I think, Start plus A in GTA 1, so okay. Cars now have a bit of weight to them and actually need to accelerate, whereas in the original game's port, everything took off like a rocket. Various gang missions are found via little arrows above each faction's logo. We should go try one. Zaibatsu looks the closest. Jesus! Well, that's lovely. Oh, this is that mission where we need to deliver the Coca-Cola. Ah, yes, the time limit begins. Well, this mission was a lot of fun in the main game, so let's have at it. Yeah. It looks like my last drop-off was inside of this Lego maze, which was not the case in the PC version, so that's really corny. I guess I failed. So it looks like I have no respect from any gang after I botched my first mission. No phones rang for thee. So what I thought I'd do is just start smoking Zaibatsu creeps in order to get my respect up with the Yakuza, my boy Johnny Zoo and I. Well, I quickly ran out of ammo and there is no hand-to-hand combat as far as I could tell. And, well, the combat in this port isn't exactly dynamic, as you can see. Ah, hey, look at that. I found myself a nice rocket launcher. Let's give it a go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is as far as my desire took me. Now, look, I spliced this footage, of course, But this part was actually a few hours after my first mission. I really did try and take time to explore downtown and see what kind of trouble I could get up to before I came back to Zaibatsu HQ to carry on. But at the point you're watching here, this was all I could take. GTA 2 on the Game Boy Color is an improvement over the first game's handheld port, and it's another super impressive technical achievement. But Tarantula Studios, wizards though they be, could only do so much with 32 kilobytes of RAM. It's so cool that they got another GTA game up and running on such a compact machine. Mad respect, but it's just so difficult to get into this. The graphics are about as pretty as they could be, the music is nowhere near as obnoxious as the first game, and there are many more cars and NPCs in the world now, but that extra detail comes at a cost. It could be the my GBA could be getting old, but there's a lot of slowdown when too much is on screen. The first GTA port may have been a ghost town, but it always ran smoothly. This port, not so much. And I mean, look, I would play GoldenEye with you right now. I don't mind a bit of slowdown, but the big thing that puts me off is the driving. Getting completely stuck happened quite a bit. Fairly often, you'll get stuck in a pixelated Chinese finger trap and you're deadlocked, but being able to reverse is almost worse. And although I appreciated the effort of adding some actual vehicle acceleration this time around, I really do, but you can't ram cars out of your way, no matter the size and weight difference, and it became exceptionally grating to crash, get stopped cold, have to back up, and then kind of wind up the car to get her going again. And if you hit another car or wall right after that, you do the process again and again. At first, it was, wow, some vehicle physics. It quickly became, oh my god, go!
I can't get out! Oh my... Yeah, you got beat, you little bitch. I was stuck to your luck. I was stuck.
After unintentionally immolating myself with the rocket blast, I woke up outside of the hospital, contemplating whether or not I should continue on. Just then, I noticed that several NPCs had gathered for what looked like a dance party. It looked like fun, so I decided that I too should dance. And it was fun. There are gaming sequels like Devil May Cry 2 that come along and nearly unravel everything the first game was good at, the sophomore slump as it were. These kinds of sequels just don't seem to know how to bottle that formula, and they botch the execution. Some sequels maintain the status quo of the previous game, adding some fine improvements and extra features, but delivering more of what fans want. This would be like God of War Ragnarok or Halo 3. Some sequels go far beyond what their predecessors could do, and in the process, they change the industry forever. This is of course a reference to GTA 3. But sequels like Grand Theft Auto 2 don't fit any of those molds. The game is leagues beyond GTA 1, introducing a ton of quality of life improvements, far superior movement, driving, and combat, while also adding the fantastic faction warfare system. We didn't get anything like that again until San Andreas, and even then, you were limited to fighting for one gang, the Grove Street Families. The first Grand Theft Auto was remarkable at the time because most of us had never played a game so open-ended in '97. Grand Theft Auto 3 is remarkable because it took that core concept and successfully expanded upon it while also dropping it into 3D, and it came at the perfect time in 2001 when the PlayStation 2 was hotter than a nuclear fire. And seriously, this isn't old man yelling at clouds. If you didn't live through the PS2 heyday, it really was special. Grand Theft Auto 2 came out in 1999, near the tail end of the PlayStation 1's life cycle, when most people were already feverishly awaiting the next generation. And unfortunately, the game is a somewhat forgotten and often overlooked entry in the series. Now look, to be fair, GTA 3 Onward is where it's at. I'd like to get to those someday, and it's not as if GTA 2 is perfect, as I listed previously, but if you have any interest in or curiosity about the Grand Theft Auto series before the 3D HD era, and whatever this new era is with 6, the own nothing and be happy about it era, you have to try GTA 2, or even if you don't care about the history and yada yada, and you just want a fun, simple, violent arcade-style game to pop on, check it out. It's the perfect little race and chase to decompress with after a long day. Grand Theft Auto 2 deserves its respect. After all, respect is everything. Well, that and actually owning the things that you purchased